Alright, now within the field of resistivity logs, we're going to discuss how induction tools work. Before getting into the details of induction tools, let's just have an idea of how the logging environment in which those tools are going to be working is. In general terms, if you want to extract oil, you have to drill a hole, and this is the main function of a rig, and they do it by using one pipe in which a bit is attached at the bottom. Inside of this pipe there is drilling fluid which is going to go all through it, and once the rock is smashed, the drilling fluid is going to take it to surface, and this goes down and creates the hole. Ideally, you should have something like this, like the image on the right, where the hole is full with drilling fluids or mud, just mud. And as you can see, there are several zones around the borehole. The nearest one is called the flush zone. It's called like this because the drilling mud is usually able to get into this zone, so if it's permeable, you will see that the drilling fluids will penetrate this area. If you move further, and there is a zone called transition zone, which has a mixture of both the original formation fluids and the drilling fluids. And far away, it's not that far, but the one that is at farthest is called the inundated zone. Just to get familiar with the terms, the flush zone is identified by this sub XO, and the transition zone actually doesn't have any special nomenclature. And when we're talking about RT, this is really important when talking about resistivity logs, is resistivity of the formation in the inundated zone on this area. So right, we have our hole, and we're going to put our logging tool in here. This is how a logging tool might look like. The one on the right, it's a diagram of this one. I think it's a Halliburton tool. I deleted this distances on purpose. I don't want to reveal any important information from Halliburton. But basically, you have the first section in which you'll find the instrument, like circuit boards and all that stuff. There's a sensor that measures the fluid property, whatever it is on the borehole, and you have a sonde where there are a bunch of coils. We're going to see it in a minute. But when it is working, you put it on the borehole, and a transmitter starts to create this magnetic field. And as you can see, there are some signals that represents properties of the formation, some near to the borehole and some others farther. So we might say that this represents the properties of the flush zone, of the transition zone, and we might say that this represents the properties of the inundated zone. But yeah, this is how it looks in general. Now, let's talk about the measurement principle. Theoretically, you can go and do your research about the Faraday's law and the Ampere's law, but this is how it works, generally speaking. You apply AC current to a coil. This AC current, this is the transmitter, is going to create a magnetic field. And this magnetic field creates a current in the formation. What happens then? At the receiver, this current is going to induce a voltage on the receiver coil. So basically you are sending AC current to your transmitter and you are reading a voltage in your receiver. This is transmitter and this is receiver. Okay, let's read this comment I put. The receiver coil measures a signal which is a coupled side of three separate voltages. R signal, a voltage induced by mutual coupling of the transmitter coil to the receiver coil, known as the mutual signal, which is related to some error. We're going to discuss these terms. And X signal. Now that we're familiar, or that we just heard about these three types of signals, R signals, mutual signal, and X signal, let's go to this graph. So, as I mentioned before, we started applying AC to this transmitter. Then the coil generates this magnetic field, which is going to create a primary ground loop on the formation, and we're interested in this. This primary ground loop is going to create a secondary magnetic field, which is going to induce the voltage in our receiver. This represents the formation properties. This is what we want. This is how we get the information. This is our R signal. But it turns out that what the receiver actually reads or sees is a bunch of other signals. And let's talk about mutual signal. This happens due to the fact that in reality, induction tools are made of several coils. So to put it in short, mutual signals are made of the effect that the transmitter has on the receiver, a direct effect. And you don't want that direct effect. You just want at your receiver the information that is coming from the formation, not from the transmitter. So we should find a way to filter or delete that effect that the transmitter is creating. And we also have an X signal. The X signal that is associated with the upper part of this picture, it happens in low resistivity formations. It's not always there, but it happens on low resistivity formations, and it is basically that in those scenarios, then a secondary ground loop is created, which is going to create another signal that is not related to the formation. So we want to avoid that. But just keep in mind, this is how it works. You have one transmitter, a coil, generates magnetic field. This is what we want, the R signal, which is a summary, is more representative of the formation properties. And we'll have to clean or filter or delete all the other things that our receiver is seeing that are not related to the formation properties. And let's call it like the bad signals. So those bad signals are going to be the mutual signal, which is related to some error, and the X signal in the case of low resistivity formations. Now, the depth of investigation of an induction tool. So it is defined as the distance from the tool beyond which 50% of the measured signal originates. So let's say we have our tool inside of this hole. If I say like my 90-inch curve from my induction tool, it means that 50% of the value that the 90-inch curve is giving you, 50% of that signal comes from a distance 90 inches away from the center of the tool. Let's put it, but to see it clearly, let's just watch how does a technical sheet of an induction tool looks like. Okay, here we have, this is an SLAM tool, and let's just focus on this row. It says output 10, 20, 30, 60, and 90 inches. What it means is that this tool will give you some information from the center of the tool to 10 inches into the formation, from the center of the tool 20 inches into the formation, and so on. In order to get information from the uninvaded area, we want to go or to see further away and not seeing like the area that is contaminated with the drilling fluids. That's the whole thing about depth of investigations. Well, it's not all about it, but it's just a summary. And well, next the question would be, why running an induction tool? Well, it is useful to estimate the formation through resistivity, which in turn will allow you to calculate the water saturation. You will also get the flush area resistivity, which will give you the water saturation in the flush area. And this ratio will tell you, well, not tell you, but serves as an indicator whether or not you have movable hydrocarbons there. Remember, this is a qualitative permeability indicator. In addition to the operating environment of this tool, sometimes when you request a resistivity log, you divide it on two parts: induction tools and lateral log. They work very similarly, but you must differentiate. So the point, both of these tools, induction and lateral logs, will give you information about resistivity at the end of the day. But you will have to decide whether to run one or the other based on the operating environment. So in this table, you just make a ratio out of the resistivity of the mud fill tray and the resistivity of the water, formation water, and depending on that, you will choose one or the other. About the measurement principle, we'll just discuss it. It's about Faraday's law, ampere. You got your coils and a bunch of signals that you want and you don't want. Skin effect. When I mentioned the very low resistivity formations, this is a good number to have an idea of the order of magnitude about what is very low resistivity. So minus or anything lower than 3 ohms per meter is considered a low resistivity formation. So let's read it. The presence of secondary ground loops, this one on the top, in very low resistivity formations, the R signal is no longer inversely proportional to formation resistivity. And skin effect is a persistent enemy of induction tools since their introduction. So in short, when this loop is created, then what your receiver is seeing is not actually related just to formation properties. It receives other signals, noise, and it's going to give you a wrong value. So an error of any residual mutual signal that cannot be eliminated by the use of multiple transmitter and or receiver coils. Well, In short, we take care of some error in calibration, so this should not be a problem. The calibration philosophy to determine the coefficients necessary for converting receiver voltage measurements into conductivity millimoles per meter. And well, you get some gains, some offsets, which are determined when tool is raised 20 feet above the ground with no loop or resistor attached. Yeah, to calibrate these tools, you should put it in a zero conductivity environment, which is sometimes hard to do. This is a graphical description. This is the induction tool, which is hanging, and we're passing this resistor through it. And there should be no metal around here. I would like to finish discussing resistivity logs with a comment that we usually have in mind that running this resistivity log will give you information about the true resistivity of the uninvaded zone. And with that, you're going to calculate the water saturation of the uninvaded zone. But if you see this equation, there are 8 items. So what your tool is seeing, the true resistivity of the uninvaded zone, depends on the other 7 factors. So the point is, let's just not summarize it like, okay, resistivity tool, formation fluids. Now, there are a bunch of things that influence what your resistivity log is showing you. And those things are saturation exponents, tortuosity factor, the porosity itself, the cementation exponent, and the formation water resistivity. All of these are discussed in the manual. We'll do a quick review for that, but let's just finish with that idea. It's not, your resistivity log is not going to be influenced just by the fluid within the formation. There are many things in there, and we should be able to understand it. And well, I believe that's a quick review. Thank you for watching.